Hey everyone, Coach Chris here, and in this class we're going to look at balance for endurance athletes, so triathletes, runners, cyclists, long distance swimmers, all of that is great. And balance is really important here in terms of our economy. So for example, in triathlon, doesn't matter what discipline you're doing, you're never really standing with both feet on the ground. Running, by definition, you're always balancing on one foot. Cycling, especially if it's windy and we're down in the aero position, we want to keep the balance as much as possible. When we're running, if we're swaying side to side, dropping our hips, we're going to be losing momentum, not using that energy going forward. And of course, technique, vitally important in swimming as well. So balance is not just good for injury prevention and keeping us safe and healthy, but it can also improve our performance and make us faster. You're not going to need any props or equipment for this class. The only thing that it would be useful to have is some kind of chair, sofa, ledge, buffet, stool, anything like that for when we do some split squats. I'll give you an alternative if you're like in the middle of a field and Chris, I've got nothing, don't worry. You'll still be covered there. We'll start with a warm up, get nice and warm, do some balance exercises, then cool down and stretch a bit towards the end. I'm not going to stick any music on in this class because then you're stuck with my music and you probably won't want that. So I'm just going to move my mat out. If you've got a nice high quality carpet, you'll be fine. Just on the floor for the little bits we're doing down there. I don't have a nice carpet, so I'm going to use a mat. But first of all, we're going to start with a nice warm up and we'll just go on with a march. All we're looking to do at this stage is get the heart rate up, get our body a bit warmer. Hopefully my microphone isn't bouncing too violently on my chest. Already this is a kind of balance exercise in itself because we're running, marching, one foot on the floor at a time. Okay, let's punch the air. Every 10 punches, we're going to tip the floor. 6, 8, 9, 10, down. Alternating our hands. We get all the muscles working. One more on each side. And now let's go for a reach. Point the opposite foot. Getting some nice rotation around the core. Getting the legs working. Getting the arms working a bit too. And let's go back to that march. This time focus on getting those knees high. You can get the arms involved as well. And let's go for some heel flicks. And let's take that even wider into some speed skaters. Hopefully I can avoid not kicking my turbo trainer. That looks like an accident waiting to happen. And then let's go for some more punches. One more on each side. Back to the march. And some final heel flicks. Six more. And hopefully you're feeling a bit warmer now, a bit flush, not a mega warm up. You could also do other cardio if you wanted and come straight in to the harder work, but this is a nice way to get more of the muscles activated and the ones that we want to use. And now we're going to focus on getting those specific muscles activated, and we're just going to start off with really simple balance on one foot. Now you don't want to lean over too much like that. Ideally, when we take one foot off, we don't move at all, but most of us don't have that balance and core control, and we end up leaning a little bit. That's okay. Something to work on, something that I have to work on as well. And we'll just stay here for a little bit. Try and readjust your posture as you get your balance. You can use your arms if you need it as well. Let's do another 10 seconds and then we will switch leg. Okay, next side, doesn't matter what side you're on, do the opposite side. I'm on my right leg now, but because of the way the camera's set up, if you're doing the opposite, that's fine. Same leg, fine. Doesn't really matter. Do another 15 seconds on this leg, and then we're done with the boring balancey bit. Okay, good. So we're going to move on to some leg swings. So again, kind of simulating the running movement. We're going to put the weight in one leg, and then we're just going to swing the other leg. Let's do 15 on each side. Should be about 8 now. Make sure you don't kick whatever's behind you. Once you're done, onto the next leg. The more you swing, the harder it is. And then we're going to go back to the one leg balance, but this time we're going to pull our knee up and hold it in. Doesn't matter how high up your knee comes. If you've got great hip flexibility, you'll get it quite high. And if you have less flexibility, it might be further down here. But try and stand up straight, try to avoid leaning back or forward. So from a side view, if you don't have great hip flexibility, you will end up probably leaning forward a bit, but we don't want to be, we want to be as upstretched as possible, and we don't want to be compensating by leaning back either. Okay, let's swap legs. If you are struggling with balance and you fall over or you need a break, don't worry, take a break, get back into it. Or if you need to sit one out, that's fine. Or if you're finding it too easy and you want to do more reps of anything, feel free to just pause the video, do some more reps and then continue. I'm not the world's strongest man, I'm a triathlete. There are plenty of people out there stronger than me. Let's do another 5 seconds here. Okay, great. Next up, we're going to take this into a more dynamic movement. So we're going to do a kind of stickman approach. We're going to raise one leg up, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. You can take the arm up as well. Stay firm in the back of the leg. Don't want to be collapsing down. And then swap. Get your balance before you move. Again, make sure you're working that glute. Nice strong back leg. If you're finding it too easy this way, there's a progression. Once you're up, raise up onto your tiptoes, stop there. It's not a fluid movement. Try and balance on those tiptoes before you take your next step. Don't forget to keep that back leg strong. Work those glutes. If you're struggling, then definitely don't do the progression. Focus on getting your technique correct first. This will be the last set. And then once you're happy with it, then you can add the tiptoes. Okay, next I'm going to stick with the dynamic format, and we're going to go back to single leg balance, but this time we're going to add some jumps, so just a little hopping on the spot. Makes it slightly more challenging, nothing too hard. But again, quite a functional movement. Got them for 3 seconds, and then we will swap legs. Just give it a few seconds and go. Do 20 seconds on this side as well. Okay, next up is what would be a medicine ball toss, but I try to keep things body weight in these classes. So we're going to do an imaginary medicine ball toss. Now you can, if you have a ball of any kind, you can use that. I've used medicine balls, I've used tennis balls, I've used basketballs, footballs, whatever you've got you can use. But the imaginary one works quite well as well. So we're going to go onto one foot, and bend the knee a little, and we're just going to imagine tossing the ball up and catching it. And you can go up onto your toes, you can add a little jump. And the more effort you put in, the more that you swing your arms, the more that you jump, the more difficult you're going to make it, and the more of a balance challenge it's going to be. That's 10, let's swap legs. Keep your eye on the imaginary ball. Two more. Okay, hopefully you should be feeling it a little bit in your legs. Like at least they should have turned on by now. You might not be hurting, but hopefully your leg muscles have woken up. And next we're going to move on to everyone's favourite exercise. Certainly my favourite exercise, which is the calf raise. And we're just going to do it single leg. If you're finding it too hard to balance, then go grab a wall. But if not, just try and get it done in the middle of nowhere using your arms for balance. So up onto the toes and down. Stop when it becomes too hard. I'm going to do 30 on each leg. it is actually a better exercise using a wall if you just want to strengthen your calves, because you're not doing all this wobbling. You can really focus on the movement. But for balance, ooh, pretty close to my limit there. Do the other side. Again, I'm going to go for 30, but stop when it gets too hard. It can really help if you have something to gaze at, a fixed point you can focus on. And grab yourself a drink. Next up, we're going to move on to some split squats. So this is where it's really handy if you have some kind of chair or bench or sofa will do, buffet stool, any kind of ledge. If you haven't got anything like that, that's fine. What you can do instead is just a static lunge. So go into the lunge position as if you're like halfway through, and then go down and up. But if you have something, it just makes it a bit of a different exercise. Your back leg is really just for balance. Your front leg is doing all the work here, and you can play around with the distance. I wouldn't normally do it at an angle. I'm doing that to show you. You can do it straight on. It's probably easier. And once you're there, we just sink down and up. So the movement is basically straight down and straight up. Let's do 10 on each side. That should be 9. Hips pointing forward. Let's do the other side. Again, you can play around with how much distance you want. Keep the weight in the front leg if you can. Keep that chest up. Next up, we use some RDLs, again unweighted. It's an easy one to get wrong, so this is a good one to do unweighted. Just gonna pick a leg, slight bend in the knee, and then we're gonna hinge forward at the hips, extend our other leg out behind us, and just go down and come up. The key thing is it's not a hip rotation, so we're not rotating our hips outwards. They want to stay in line. Imagine there's headlights on your hips. They keep facing forward, eventually downwards, but they're not turning out to the side. So if you're feeling ready, let's do it. Let's go for 10 on each side. Hips pointing forward. Slight bend in that front leg. You don't have to extend the back leg out. If you don't want to, can't manage it. If you can't bend that far down, that's fine. If you can only go to here, totally fine. More important to keep those hips facing forward than it is to try and push yourself further than you can realistically go with good technique. Let's do 3 more on this side. And let's swap to the other side and probably see my own imperfect technique better from this side. This might be unpleasant for me. The hardest thing about doing these classes is that even though I'm in my own home, it's a home workout, we do it from home, we're still using the studio lights and they put out a lot of heat. It's like doing hot yoga in your own house. Two more. Okay, nice. Next we're going to move on to a thing that genuinely is unpleasant, and that's pistol squats. So squatting with one leg. It's exactly kind of the same in a regular squat movement in that we want to pretend we're sitting back in a chair, if you've got a chair. It's always good to start with a couple of genuine chair sits, just so you can remember how the squat feels. And we're going to be doing it one leg, the other leg goes out in front. We try and keep the chest up as much as possible. It gets super hard in a pistol squat. Let's start by just doing 5 on each side. So try and keep that chest up, front leg out. Focus on good technique rather than getting low. It's hard to do good technique with pistol squats, even if you're a strong man. Let's take a break and then we'll do 5 more of those. They are unpleasant, but super useful. It's a good squat, it's a good balance. It's got everything in there, a lot of technique to work on. And after this, we'll get down on the mat, you will be pleased to know. Okay, let's go again. In fact, I'll face this way this time in case you want to see the other side. Let's go. Ooh. That was better. 4 and 5. Let's do the other side, and then we're on the mat. That's not even a rep. Try to keep that back leg that's taking the weight. You don't want it collapsing inwards or outwards. I'm not sure if that would happen. There we go. How low you can get on those depends on leg strength, flexibility, balance, loads of stuff. It is a tough one. Let's drag the mat this way a bit. And we're going to be down on our hands and knees. And we're going to raise opposite arm and opposite leg. So I'm going to start right arm, left leg, extend them out fully, flex the back toes, try and get everything in line. Then we'll go to the other side. There's no rush. Try and get your technique right. We're only going to do 10 in total. This should be number 7. We squeeze into the glute. Okay, the microphone died, I'm not sure where, so I'm going to restart from the planks. So lucky me, I get to do them all again. Hopefully you'll miss that in the edit. We'll start just with a regular plank. Just to remember what that feels like. We're only going to be here for 20 seconds. Another 5 seconds and we're done. And then we're going to go into what's really important for this set on balance, which is side planks. Got some options here. You want your shoulder directly above your wrist, and you could be down on your knees, and so. But if you want to do the full thing, legs out long, same setup, upper body, and let's push up. And if you can, get your other arm up, and we're just going to be here for 20 seconds. And we're just going to do one set, you'll be pleased to know. So if you are feeling it, don't worry, we're nearly there. Always a challenging bit is trying to do the other side without crushing the mic. Again, legs that long, wrist under shoulder, and push up. Halfway. And down. You'll be excited to know that a lot of the hard work is now done. A couple of other bits we're going to do before we stretch. Let's do some compass points. We did this in the legs workout as well. So you're going to go onto one leg and you're just going to draw the points for compass. In fact, I might need to move forward here. Just out, north, east, south, west. Not sure if this will look like the opposite on the camera to the way I'm doing it. It doesn't matter as long as you go around. We want to avoid leaning too much this way, try and stay as upright as possible. Do 5 on each side. This is my number 4. Once you're done, switch legs, and we'll just do the same on the other side. You might want to go the opposite way around, doesn't really matter, as long as you get all the points. And a couple more balances to do. First one, do yoga, you might know it's half moon. Turn one foot out 90 degrees, and then we're going to bend over that foot. We're going to take this foot into the air and we're going to put this hand on the ground for support. So this time, opposite arm in the air. We'll just be here for 10 seconds. This time you are turning your hips out and come back up. Same on the other side, so turn that foot out 90 degrees, come down, plant the hand, opposite hand to the sky. If you do need to modify your feet a little, that's okay. And come back up. And then we'll do a tree pose as well. So we want our foot to land somewhere on our leg, not a joint, so you can take it up to your thigh if you want it there. It's easier perhaps to have it down on your calf. It's up to you, but we want it pointed out that way. This foot faces forward, that knee faces out. Ooh. It's slipping down my tri-shorts. Let's just hold here for another 5 seconds and then we'll swap legs. Okay, nice work. For the other leg, you want to keep everything symmetrical. So if you put it on your calf or your thigh on one side, you want to do the opposite on the other side. And yank it up again because it's slipping down. No! Get up there. We'll just hold for another 5 seconds. Oh, nice. So we'll do some stretching and then we'll finish off. A couple of areas. First of all, stretch out the whole of our backward leg with a forward fold, so bend at your hips. You can put your hands to the floor or just grab the elbows. And you can have a slight bend in the knees, they don't need to be locked out. Make sure you're feeling it all the way down the backs of your legs. We'll just hang out here for a bit. Stretching really comes into its effectiveness after a minimum of 30 seconds. It's quick 5-second stretches after a run. Not going to make any big changes. Flexibility is hard. But as the muscles repair, we want them to repair in a nice long form. And just hold it here for another 15 seconds. Go a bit deeper if you can. Okay, come back up. And we'll get down onto the mat. Stretch out our glutes a bit. So you want to take one leg over, grab the other leg and just pull it into you. Rest your head on the floor. Try to be relaxed while stretching. It's hard. Obviously your arms are working hard here, pulling in that knee. If you can't make it all the way down here, it's okay to have this foot on the floor. You could be like this, that's fine. But if you can get down, do try and get down. Just do another 5 seconds here, and then we'll swap legs. I'm leaning up to see the timer, but you can keep your head on the floor. Okay, other leg, like nicely across, and then just pull down. I'm pleased to know there's now a quad stretch today. We've done enough balance work already. Just another 10 seconds here. Nice. Okay. That's been the end of this class on balance. I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We've got a whole playlist of strength and conditioning classes you might want to check out, and check us out over on our website Resilient as well for more tips, advice, help for endurance athletes.